here today, also members of the Geek-Garage here, who are going to be talking about their vehicles and what it took to bring them to a show like this, and kind of all of those experiences. So a little bit about Geek-Garage and a little bit about myself here starting out. So my name is Tom Ziegelbauer. I drive the Batmobile that's upstairs there, and Geek-Garage is the largest international registry of themed vehicles on the planet. So we have vehicles all over the United States, up in Canada, we have some over in Europe, and then we have some over in Australia as well. So we really created this group to be something free, so where people could come and they could see and experience all these vehicles, not to where people are being charged in order to be able to do that. We do a lot of nonprofit types of things like the children's hospitals and things like that, visiting them, and that's really the purpose of this group. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce you to the panelists who are up here, and they're going to tell you a little bit about who they are, what they do, their vehicle, and then we're going to dive into some of the stories of creating some of these vehicles here. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob, or Luigi next to me here. He's going to tell you a little bit about what he drives.
I'm not going to do this whole thing in an Italian accent, so you're welcome. My name is Rob, and I'm one of the probably 8 or 9 Jurassic Park Jeeps in the state. Gosh, I hope you have more interesting things for you later on in the panel. But Karen actually helped me out to build my Jeep about 6 years ago. I was reaching out to a bunch of email addresses that I had gathered, and Karen was the one that was helpful and actually reached out to me and helped me get started on the journey, and it's been lots of fun, and I've met these great friends since then, and had lots of great times with them.
What time is your Jeep?
Oh, mine is 36. All of the often the Jurassic Park Jeeps will have different numbers. There were 4 in the original movie, and then there's some that are kind of canon sprinkled throughout that, from video games and other things. Mine's my own number. My dad used to race stock cars when I was a wee little one, and so I kind of always have been fascinated with that, so I took his number.
Mine is fun. Okay. Hi, my name is Karen Lechtenberg. I'm the owner and builder of the Jurassic Park Jeep 10, and that's the one that's on display upstairs, so come by and say hi. I've been obsessed with Jurassic Park since I was a kid, and so as soon as I started making adult money after college, that was one of the first things that I did. So, you're next.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Sam. I have quite a few vehicles. I actually work for Colorado Studios, HDNet, the movie channel, Comcast. I was a prop master for Access TV for 15 years. So my job was actually build a lot of props and source items for movies. I worked on Warriors of Virtue. I worked on Camp Crash, a couple other military movies. So I own a couple of cars. One is the Jurassic Park pickup truck, and that just kind of started out as it's just a transportation for Lucy, the Velociraptor, and all those things that was actually done for Access TV for Elvira. We did a show. I kept the props. Some props are sold, some props are kept. I decided to keep those props and purchase them because they're too cool. So I have the Jurassic Park truck. It's just really I just took the idea from a maintenance truck they have. You could see it in some of the movies. And my other vehicles are, I also own a 1953 M38A1. That was also used, I don't know if you remember like a Taco Bell commercial. There was like a sergeant going around in the Jeep ordering stuff. That was used in that commercial. It was also used for a couple of military events. One was at the convention center. I also own Thunder, the 4x4 van, which is a zombie van. We were in partner with The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead asked me to build a vehicle for one of their conventions, and that's where Thunder came in fruition. They asked me to build something if I was, if I needed a vehicle, what kind of vehicle I would have, and a 4x4 van that's lifted 12 inches off the ground with monster tires, twin saw blades that actually work, a minigun, 250 caliber machine guns, and a flamethrower. So turned out pretty cool, and it was used at the convention here in Colorado. They did want it for the show, but I would have to transport it to Atlanta, and I decided not to do that at that time. So, yeah.
Okay, we were remiss to say, not to say that Lucy the Velociraptor is upstairs as well, so you can go see that, and then his Jurassic Park truck is also up there. So, Lori.
Hi everybody, my name is Lori Peifer, and I actually have a replica 1984 Corvette that Face drove on a teen TV show. If you're ever wondering, it was started on season 2, but it's white with a red stripe, but it is a replica, so it has the white with the red stripes and the red interior, just like what Face did. So yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's a really fun car. It has a nice little fuel injection to it, so it's like a lot of fun to drive as well.
Hi, I'm Joe Peifer, and we share the Corvette now. But I used to have a 1974 Gran Torino that was the Starsky and Hutch car. So it was a replica of the Starsky and Hutch with siren, light, 9 yards. I had that for about 10 years, and I kept driving her Corvette. So I did sell my Gran Torino and bought a different Corvette, a 1981. So it's not a replica. And in between that time, we also had a tribute vehicle that was a tribute to Buckaroo Banzai. So we had a black GMC Jimmy that had the Banzai Institute all in vinyl. I had a whole bunch of gear on the roof. And we took that to a few events, and again, it's just a tribute vehicle because we like that movie so much. Really fun to have, and yeah.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about, because I think it's curious that we all come from different backgrounds. We're not all prop masters like Sam. So I come from an IT background, operations, and how about you?
Yeah, mostly IT, but I've been, the electronics and those pieces are kind of where I love to sit, and the things that I can add to my vehicle to make it more creative in those ways, because I'm not a painter, I'm not a body guy. I don't even cars in general are not necessarily something that I know anything about. So that's kind of where I am.
Karen, what do you do?
I'm a geologist, so by day I work in the office doing maps, but in the summertime I actually go and dig up dinosaurs. I really
Just a little.
Lori, what do you do?
I'm actually in IT operations as well. Digital automation, just automating processes.
And how about you, Joe?
I work in the financial industry, so I've been watching the stocks and things like that for like 30 years, 25 years.
So other than Sam, like none of us came from a background of like figuring this out along the way, and I think that gives a lot of people hope when they see these cars. They're like, oh man, this is something that is like way unobtainable to me. But we all have just, I think, found a passion in a singular source and kind of gone, okay, this is the direction that I want to go. So for the next part of it, I kind of want to talk with you guys about why you chose the vehicle that you did, what you kind of started out behind the initial idea of it, what were some of the challenges of maybe starting it out, and then how did that create like a significance in your life, or how has it changed your life maybe? I'll start out with myself. So again, back to the Batmobile. It's a 2014 Corvette Stingray is the base of it, and I had another Batmobile before that that I had built, and then sold that off and took money and put it into this one. And before that, I actually had my wife's vehicle that I had turned into a Batmobile, and then I had it all kind of started out with a Halloween party. I had a Target bat suit that I wore to this Halloween
Kid's
party.
bat suit.
What's that?
It was a kid's bat suit.
Yeah, it was like all ripped down the sides, like, cause I'm like, you go into Target like the day before Halloween and you get the kid stuff. Like there's no stuff left. So wore that and cut out a bat symbol and put it on her BMW, and that was kind of the start of this journey. And then we moved to Colorado, and then we kind of released our nerdiness, and I bought Michael Keaton bat suit from a costume store for like $300. They were getting ready to basically retire it, and so we bought this 350Z and turned that into a Batmobile, and it's kind of progressed from there. So that's kind of where we got started. So, Rob, how about you?
Sure. It's similar to Karen. When I saw Jurassic Park in 1993, my dad took me to, I think it was Cinderella Twin Drive-In, and it just, being a little kid and seeing these giant dinosaurs in the open air, it was an experience that really kind of shaped my little kid brain, and that part has stayed a little kid as I've grown up. So when I reached out to Karen with the idea, and of course it's not, lots of people have the same idea, but it's lots of fun to kind of go down that road. She helped give me the resources. This is before Geek-Garage and before I met Tom and the rest of the group out here. So Karen put me in touch with a great painter that's out here that's done a lot of movie cars and done a lot of great things, and gets excited about those kind of projects. And then it was kind of into the small details of how do we do this? This is at that point, 25-year-old vehicle. You can't get the parts for it anymore. It's not like the hard to find parts. How do I find a base vehicle that's running? How do I keep it running? How do I, find somebody to get the dents out of it, and then start gathering all these little details that I want and all the little things. And I was lucky to have, a group, and Karen was part of that group that was the same kind of nerd and was, analyzed all the little details from the still shots at those times. It was pause the VHS, and then it was pause the DVD and find the screenshot and get your protractor out and see if you can find the angles and what color is that and what kind of add-on fog lights are that. And there's crazy things that when you jump down that rabbit hole, you're like, oh man, I gotta find these things that they haven't made in 20 years, and I've gotta dive in the junkyard and I've gotta find all these things. That's kind of like the broad overview of the build and how I got there.
Karen?
I'm gonna touch on your challenges part, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Since Rob kind of did the intro. So the Jurassic Park Jeeps are 1992, 1993 YJ Wrangler Saharas. So Sahara is like the fancy edition. I know when you look at the Jeep, you're like, that's fancy. Well, it was for 1993. But as he said, sourcing these vehicles, the YJs have the square headlights. So if you ever see a Jurassic Park Jeep, they have the square headlights. They're nicknamed the Wranglers because all Jeeps have the circle headlights now. And keeping one of those Jeeps running is a whole thing in itself. So I'm going to tell a quick story, and you can kick me off the microphone if you need to. But I sourced my 1993 Jeep from a place in Florida. We drove it across country. Somehow it made it. It probably shouldn't have. And one of my first events I was so excited to go to was Film on the Rocks at Red Rocks. They were showing Jurassic Park. And when you hear that T-Rex roar and it bounces off the foothills of the Dakota sandstone that has dinosaur footprints in it. It just makes my geology heart sing. So I was stoked. And I get off on the Morrison exit, and I'm going to make that turn, and I push on the gas, and the drive shaft falls on the ground underneath the Jeep. Yeah. And I go, oh. And so I got it over to the side, and I was stuck. And of course, my phone battery had just died, and I'm sitting there waiting for a tow for 5 hours. And as people are going to the theater, they're stopping by and they're like, oh, Red Rocks went all out. They have a Jurassic Park Jeep. It's showing the way. And they're like, where do I park? And I'm like, just turn left down there. And then the clouds roll in, start sprinkling. So I pull out my rain jacket, slicker, put the hood up. I have a flashlight. I'm directing traffic. And somebody from Red Rocks comes out and he's like, you can't park here. I'm like, I didn't do it on purpose. So, yeah, there's multiple stories like that where something had happened on the Jeep and it led to its own adventure. So, yeah, one of the challenges.
Sam?
Well, I'm much older than everyone up here, so I don't know if what really started for me, because I always wanted a military Jeep, is because of Rat Patrol. It's on YouTube, so you should look it up. It's a great intro. It's a great show, TV series. But that's what really led me to doing the Jeep, because I wanted something that's really authentic, and I thought it was just cool with the 50 caliber machine gun on it. So that's why I decided to do that. But I wanted. This is really my only vehicle that's true military, completely, from everything from bolts to everything that's on it. So it's a little hard to find these days and hard to source because it's just difficult. But I do have another movie I like was Better Off Dead. So the 1967 Camaro. I also have that. I also like my cousin Vinny, so I had to source a 1964 Buick Scarlet convertible. It's not mint green, but it just I'm always looking at the movie database, seeing where these cars come from and stuff like that. And that's kind of my thing.
Okay, I'm going to continue with that theme. So we've always had classic cars ever since we've been married, probably. So initially I have a kit car. So the base model is a Pinto, 1974 Pinto. Coolest car you've ever seen. However, remember the undercarriage is a 74 Pinto. So right now it's in the garage. Still love that little car. It looks like a little roadster. It's a lot of fun. When I got that one, it really needed a lot of work. So fiberglass, sourcing stuff, had Jaguar seats. It's a little Frankenstein monster. However, it goes 45 miles an hour. That's the top speed on that. So when we were going to car shows, I actually wanted something that I could go on the highway with, down E470, kind of get me there without going, we have to map something out that's going to take us an hour to get there. So comes in the Corvette. So now I have an 84 C4 Corvette. So it gets us going, gets us running. When I bought it, it was dirty sock white. The ugliest color you've ever seen. Karen, we also reached out to, and we got her painter, so it's a nice bright white now with the red stripe. But we're like Sam, a lot of classics. You got to keep those babies running. The Corvette's not here because it probably needs the transmission rebuilt. So just a cautionary tale. They look beautiful on the outside, but they're still cars. So you still have the regular maintenance cars. So when you're thinking about what to get, kind of think about that as well. So but they're great. You love them, and you put the money into them. Whatever you want to do. But yeah, so 45 miles an hour to about 110. Kind of helps you a little bit.
how we started with the classic cars too is I used to have a 1970 Olds-Cutlass convertible. So if you've ever seen the show Navy SEALs, it was the exact same car that Charlie Sheen had, and he drove off that. It was same colors, really same wheels at the same time, which we didn't even know at Gulf War. So, but as a kid, and I'm going to show my age here too, other than Sam, as a kid, I loved the Starsky and Hutch TV show. And I remember living in Northland, and the Ford dealer that's on 104th Avenue had 2 Starsky and Hutch cars on the grass when I was like in 5th grade. And they were for sale because Ford made replicas of that car from the factory and sold 1,000 of those in the 70s. And it took me 30 years before I bought one. I was able to find one, and I sourced it from Virginia. I didn't go out and drive mine all the way across the country, but I did have it trailered all the way across the country. And when you buy something, especially that's from your childhood, and people that are younger, your cars are probably more reliable. Because mine was a 1974. That's 40 years old. So the car was beautiful, but it needed some mechanical things, and it needed a transmission rebuild after a while, some carburetor work. So those types of things, it's not only the challenge of sourcing the parts, but sourcing the people that can work on it. So you really have to think about that when you're doing a vehicle. Or you can always buy a turnkey one, people that have already invested that money into the car. Because they do take a while. I mean, my car was getting 12 miles a gallon. The Corvette, believe it or not, gets 23 miles a gallon. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic on gas. But again, there's all kinds of little things you don't think of that can get you in the end. So, tires are a cost and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, our journey was basically from TV. You buy what you grew up with. Right. You listen to the music you grew up with. It kind of all just comes back to what was on TV.
Yeah, I think it's a dream, right?
Yeah.
I think so many times, like I'll drive my car. It's my daily, so I drive to work, and people go, "I can't believe you drive this car." And I ask them the question, if you could drive the Batmobile on a daily basis, wouldn't you? And then they go, oh, yeah. Which I think is a good transition from what Joe was saying in terms of it's not only sourcing the vehicle, because I think you have this concept, and I know for my vehicles that I've had, I've searched years and years and years for this particular one, this particular year, and then when opportunity meets that time window, you're prepared in order to be able to do that. And then becomes the challenging part, because it's finding the parts, finding the unique things that make your vehicle stand out beyond all those. And I think especially with the Jurassic Park Jeeps, there's so many like screen accurate little things on them, and I'll have you guys touch on that a little bit on that. So.
Yeah, I think that Karen and I are really lucky that we can go see the cars that were our inspiration at Universal. Both the parks have a Jurassic Park Jeep in them that you can run up and you can take pictures from most angles and get your tape measure out, and we're also lucky that
People look at you really weird when you do that.
but there's a lot of people that do that, so I think it's there's also a group of nerds like us that have done that. So rely on your Ghostbuster groups, your Jurassic Park groups, and any other fandom that's probably out there. People have done the legwork, right? And rely on them. They've got hopefully good vendors that can source parts for you. They're probably going to come at a premium, but you can find them out there. But I had so many eBay alerts and check Craigslist every day, and you can't even just check for, you can't find a model number and just check for that. You have to check for, you know, the guy that has it and doesn't know what it is. What's he gonna think it is? What's he gonna list it as? What's he, you know, where are you gonna find this in you know, Jeep puller groups? Where are you gonna find it in junkyards, in marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, and then how are you gonna get it?
Yeah, and one of the neat things, so Jurassic Park has really come back with the sequels or the next trilogy. And so people got really excited about it again, which was really neat because all of a sudden there's all this merch that you can buy that you couldn't earlier. But our Jurassic Park group got big enough that it caught the attention of Ramsey, the winch maker. And there's a very specific year, make, and model of the winch that sits on the front of the Jeep. Well, they decided to make another run of those just for our group. And so now we all have very shiny, pretty Ramsey winches on the front of our Jeeps that matches, they're screen accurate. Whereas we were sourcing them off of Craigslist and sanding them down, getting the rust off, and trying to make them work. So like just the excitement built behind this, and it catches people's attention. And Ramsey is just like a great example of that.
So for me, I'm more like I like the Mad Max, you know, shows. So it's you know, those are like easy cars. Those are pretty easy to do. I mean, it's typically older vehicles that you just modify, and those are kind of things I like. For you know, like the military Jeep, that's going to be a tough one because that's sourcing parts for that is pretty small at this time. So I mean, again, I think you just want to find something that you want to really have and want to make it your own. Like I've seen the Normandy car out there, and you know it's just awesome. You know, and he made it his own, and it's you know it's from the game. It looks great. I've seen you know, Ghostbuster vehicles, from Magnums to vans to station wagons, and just they're just cool because it's kind of hard to get an old hearse these days.
It's impossible to find it like that.
Yeah. But they make it their own, and it's it's super cool, and it's yours, and you put your touches to it. So that's what I like.
So for me, it was, so back in the day, everybody was using decals, right? You know, to make the stripes, both with the Starsky and Hutch car and with the face one. So everything was decals, you know, where somebody was standing there, you know, kind of striping it out. Well, we wanted ours painted. So if you can imagine us standing there in the paint shop with, you know, we had masking tape. No, I want it like a little more curved, and I wanted it bigger on the back so it covers up the gas can. So there's all those little touches that become yours. So because, and it's like you said, it's like back in those, during the TV show eras back in the 70s and 80s, they were renting those cars. And then they were doing it, but they had to turn it back in. So, you know, if you're lucky to find a screen used one, you'll probably have a lot of the peeling and stuff. So, you know, it's just those kind of different things because, you know, Joe was talking about, and I'll let you talk more about this, about the Starsky and Hutch stripe, that the Ford ones came off and the stripe was kind of like cut off. It wasn't round. And so like when we were doing the stripe for the face car, for the A-Team car, we wanted to be sure it looked nice. And they were very good with us, you know, especially, you know, because I'm standing there going, no, I want a different red, and I want it more round, and no, I want it to cover this. But you can make it your own, you know, you can do as much as you want to, kind of see, you know, where you are, but put your own personality into it. And that's what makes them fun and things like that. So.
Yeah, I think like working with the groups that are out there, like Jurassic Park, there's a whole universe of people that have Starsky and Hutch cars. There's a StarskyTorino.com website. There are people that have the Ford cars that you could buy from a dealer, and there are people that have replica cars from the show. And again, they're slightly different Then the movie came out in 2004. That's almost 20 years old already. Jesus. With Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, and they were Starsky and Hutch, and Snoop Dogg was Huggy Bear, and they had like a monster motor in their car. But they had to do the same thing. Those old school mag wheels are hard to find. My car had those really cool wheels, but I also had raised white lettering on my tires, which was not on the show or in the movie, but it looked super cool to me. But I had the exact same police radio inside that was from that era. I had the siren from that era, because a new siren is all digital, but an old siren is all analog, and you can hear the difference. So I had those types of things, and those were eBay finds that you look and like tomorrow I'll cosplay as Starsky. I have that sweater from that you know, from a place that made those sweaters, and you know, things like that. But I think the other thing that we probably all need to talk about a little bit is affordability and reliability of the car. Because you really don't want to, it's like anything, you don't want to, you know, get underwater. But you can start, you know, when we bought the 18 car, we knew it needed to be painted. But it was okay for a while. So we kept it the dirty soft white. We put vinyl on the stripes, for the stripe for a while. And you just saved, and then, you know, Karen turned us on to the shop that gave us affordable paint job, and they did a great job. So you don't have to do it all at once. That's the big key, because you can get underwater because it's a car. I mean, it's just like any other car. And James is the Normandy car. It's new, it's reliable, you know, it's a regular car, but you can make a tribute vehicle, and it just takes time. Just don't think, if you're going to ever do this, don't think you need to make it perfect the first time around or right away. Yeah, phase it, do it in stages. That's the way to go.
Amen. So two things with that is, one, if you're shooting for perfection, someone will always come up to you on a show and go, that isn't the right, that isn't the right fog light, that isn't the, and would you like to buy some? That's, I know all of us kind of have that perfectionist in us to where it's perfect to 10 feet, and it's something that will make somebody smile along the way. So it's sharing that enthusiasm and transferring that to the people who are viewing these vehicles, and it's your own, making it your own. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. The other thing, I think all of us have kind of mentioned this shop, Mako in Commerce City. I think they're on Oneida Street. We've done Stacy's vehicle. We've had that painted there. Both of you guys had yours painted there, and you've had yours painted there. And this community that we built over time was started out for a lot of us by this guy named Kevin Henry, who took a Magnum and he's like, I have a Magnum, I'm going to turn it into Ghostbusters and Esso. And he actually did a lot of the legwork up front and helped, I think, a lot of us get started along the way. So I think I'd be remiss not mentioning this paint company and also mentioning Kevin Henry, because he helped a lot of us along the way. So to make sure we're respectful of your guys' time and everybody up here on the panel, let's talk about like one thing on your vehicle that you're like super proud of that makes it stand out beyond all others. So we'll start with this and we'll go right back to Joe.
I think the thing that was just how it looked. After we found replacement wheels, it came with, when I bought it, it came with the era mag wheels and stuff, but we found some really beautiful ones. And that and the paint work on that car was And when you flip on a siren, great, that's.
Sorry, I'm gonna stay with that theme. It's the paint job on the C4 Corvette, because you don't see many C4s that are bright white with that red stripe running down the street. And so you would probably know that it's me, because there's really nobody else in Colorado that has one. But it came out beautiful. It's like I said, the paint shop worked really well with me. You know, kind of went with, you know, me being kind of crazy with the masking tape, you know, I want it more round and stuff, but I'm really proud of it. It's just a beautiful little car.
Well, for me, it would probably be a Thunder, the 4x4 van, which is on Facebook. You can see it. I'm all the props and add-ons, so it has twin saw blades on it. And of course, you know, I took it to a event and they said, well, those they don't look like they would work, but they actually do, and they'll cut a 2x4 in half. I designed it from using air ratchets. It's all run off the air, so it's an air ratchet on a saw blade, which you just run air in it. It's going to spin, and it has a lot of torque. It has a minigun on it that I designed, which I got the idea from a motorcycle that I saw that had an exhaust that was a minigun that was spinning. So I made the minigun run off of air so it would spin, and it makes a horrendous noise, and it scares everyone when you turn it on. And I press a button, send it. So it's all the add-ons that I put on there. That's what makes it cool and scary.
Yeah, when we do shows outdoors, we line up the vehicles by height. And so his is super tall and mine is the next tallest. So he has all these zombies crawling out from under his van, and I pull up beside him like, ooh. The props to your props. For me, let's see. I just love how iconic the paint job is. It turns a lot of heads. It makes people smile. I've had people chase me downtown Denver. Just, you know, that makes me smile as well. And so I don't want to take your answer. So my seats is my.
Yeah, I guess kind of off of what Karen said right there, the Jeeps all look the same, and that's kind of on purpose. That's kind of the point. So they are iconic. Just the look of them, how simple it is, it's great. It's so much fun just to drive down the road, and let alone like events and car shows and things. Probably the piece, because all of those are the same, the piece that I have the most fun with is the sound. So you know, working with Tom and kind of working on some other things. We put together, you know, a loudspeaker, an all-weather loudspeaker, and a couple little automations to make sounds over cell signal, and you know, with little cell phones and computers to make, you know, all the kinds of dinosaur sounds. And the first time I put that in, I pulled up. I was just driving down the road, and I pulled up behind a lady who stayed a little bit too long at a red light, and she got a T-Rex roar, and that. I still smile, and I hope she does too.
I'm gonna second that one. A number of years ago, figured out how to, through Android, control through your phone, send out a cell phone signal to an Android tablet inside your vehicle, and you can completely control it. So the Batmobile talks. So we take it to car shows, and we've had, I remember one that we went to, probably an hour and a half with a little girl who sat cross-legged in front of that Batmobile and had a conversation. And I'm getting sleepy. Can you do a dance for me? And she got up and she was doing dance and everything. And that one little thing sets that car out from everything else that's out there, because it talks, and no matter where you're at, because it's a cell phone signal that picks up the data and transfers it over. I've had where I'm coming down an elevator at work, and my car's out in the parking lot, and somebody's looking at it, and I'll make it talk and have a conversation with them. Or like when people are taking pictures, it has an automation that says, "Thank you for taking my picture. Can I take one of you too?" So, and then it has the little camera shutters on. which doesn't happen. There's no shutters in these anymore, of course, but that's awesome. So that's mine. We're at about 5 minutes left. So we're going to two things. Like, what's like the worst thing that's ever happened with your vehicle? Because this isn't all like sunshines and rainbows all the time. And then what is like the biggest highlight that you've had? So I'll start us out and we'll get on to the end. So I think my biggest disaster was I was coming back from a car show and I was coming up I-25 and I felt like I had a flat tire, so I pulled off to the side. And then I got back on and I got to about the 57th Street exit and my rear tire shot out of the Batmobile. So Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker who tried to steal it got away. So that was probably the worst thing that ever happened, and that was months of reconstruction of my old Batmobile and trying to fix that. I think one of the biggest highlights, I think just being a part of this community, I think has been, we've been part of all sorts of different car groups in the past. We've owned Porsches and BMWs and Audis and all sorts of other stuff. This is really friendship across the board, and we've really made some lifelong friends, not only in the Geek-Garage, but also in Jurassic Park Motor Pool. I've met some of those folks from there when they've been in town and stuff. And I'd say it's making those connections in these things and those friends.
Yeah, and just to pin on that too, I through this group and through some of the other groups I've been in, anytime I'm in a new place, I can find somebody that's a geek like me and go have a beer with them, and it's some of the best feeling in the world because you instantly connect. I may have known them on Facebook or something and never met in person, and then when you do meet, it's like you've been friends all the whole time. So that's lots of fun. Probably, the car's broken down several times. That's part of the 30-year-old Jeep. But probably the worst, and this is kind of superficial, but I've definitely had some paint mishaps, people standing on the Jeep, and people putting their children in the Jeep and those sorts of things. So that's probably the most expensive and worst part. But it comes with the territory. It brings a smile, and you just kind of has to that.
Nice.
Yes.
I don't know. I've been broken down on the side of the road a lot, so I guess pick one of those. Best, I think, it was actually at a Denver Comic-Con. There was a kid dressed up as a Transformer Jurassic Park Jeep, and I think I saw him on social media, and he reached out to me, and I met up with his family. We became family friends. On his birthday, I took the Jeep to drive-in, and they watched Jurassic World from a Jurassic Park Jeep for his birthday, and now he's gonna go off to college soon and study paleontology. So, yeah, lots of great.
I try to pick vehicles that are super durable. so Army Jeep, if it's dirty, it looks best. Zombie van looks better if it's covered with blood. So I'm pretty good.
As I mentioned, the transmission's sitting on our lift in our garage, waiting for me to come up with money. But the fun thing is just talking to people who have no idea that Face had a Corvette in the A-Team, and just kind of introducing that as well. Kind of brings the kids into that ATM world with the parents or grandparents. That there was that old TV show out there. So.
Yeah, it's always cool whether it's the 18 car, we were at a cruise and we weren't by the car, but you see people walk by and they're like, that's Face's car. And then they try to tell their kids and they have no idea. So those types of things are really fun. I think one of the highlights is we've had both. When I had the Starsky car, we had that here at Denver Comic-Con. We've had the 18 car here. We were supposed to have it here again, mechanic things. But having them inside at a venue like this and people from all walks of life and all ages that get to see them and remember that, oh yeah, that was on TV, that was so cool. Those types of things are really what put smiles on your faces, you know, especially to see the kids watch their parents just light up. You know, it's really fun. It's great. And of course, all the friends that we've made over the years, we see everybody at least once a year at some sort of convention, but many times there's, hey, we're going to do a cruise, let's get together and stuff, or let's go and have hot dogs or whatever, or hamburgers and stuff like that. And being friends with everybody over the years to get to know them is just the best part of being in groups like this. And we're no drama group, really. I've been in car clubs, there's a lot of drama. This is not a drama club.
We've designed it that way because we've all been in some clubs that have been. So
Yeah.
I want to thank all the panelists up here today. And you guys have been a great audience. You're laughing at all of our stupid jokes and all of our horror stories with our vehicles. So if you have any further questions, or want to find out more about the vehicles, you can go to www.geek-garage.com. We're also on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Geek-Garage HQ. Or come see us upstairs and have a chat. So thanks all for coming today to the panel. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, everybody.